Hi everyone, Monica here. I'm going to walk you through our communication pathway for struggling students. This document stems from the work that everybody did last spring when we were remote learning, and many of you participated in submitting student names that weren't logging in, weren't completing assignments, were in danger of failing your course for the fourth 9 weeks, or in danger of failing the class for the year. So this year, all districts were required to submit to ODE either a blended learning plan or a remote plan. We submitted a remote plan, and in that plan, we had to articulate how we are going to support our e-learners with academics and attendance. So this form was designed to help you and help us keep good records of our e-learners, but we decided to make it a multi-purpose form so that we're going to be documenting our general education students that are at risk, our students with IEPs, and our students on a Section 504 plan, all students K-12, as well as in-person and e-learners. So this form you would fill out very much like we did in the spring. We now have a way of taking digital attendance for our e-learners, but any attendance concern for an e-learner or an in-person student, lack of work completion, or ultimately D or F in your class at the midpoint or at the final point of the 9 weeks. And we will use this form all year long. So step one is what you normally do. You try to reach out to the family and the student, and you can't get anywhere. We're asking that you make 3 attempts, 2 different ways, before you would then come down to step 2, and you would fill out the form that is associated with your building. For demonstration purposes, I'll select the high school form. And so in this form, at the opening part is the same exact language from the communication pathway document. You'll complete the student's name, and here are the 3 attempts that I mentioned and which ways that you tried to contact the family. Your name, and then different information, grade level about the students that we're talking about. And then most importantly is why are you trying to reach out to this family and you've made no contact. So this child's not attending as an e-learner, not attending as an in-person learner, not completing assignments, failing assignments or your assessments, lacking Wi-Fi accessibility. We are still handing out Kajits. I believe they need social or emotional support. We need to help you get that child connected. Or I believe they're lacking in basic needs like food and clothing or anything else that has come up that we didn't think about. And then you'll continue to complete this form. So that's step 1 and 2. By the time we get to step 3, you need some help. You need somebody else to work with you, much like we did in the spring. Assistant principal, high school principal, middle school principal would get with you and try to make contact with the family. So for our students that are at risk gen ed or students with a Section 504 plan, you would follow this part. You as the teacher would work with the school counselor. If the student is on an IEP, then you would work as a general education teacher with the IS and eventually possibly with the case facilitator. And then under students with IEPs, for work-related attendance, the elementary and middle school would go to this box and the high school would go to this box. If still no attempts are made or we're really struggling to get with the family or get the student to participate in person or e-learning, we go to step 4, and this is where the principal or assistant principal will work with you to get in touch with the family. And here they may make a recommendation that we file truancy on a child. We put into place an attendance intervention plan, or we do a home visit. And we did some of those in the spring just to make sure children were safe. If none of that works, we're going to go to step 5. So if the student is still struggling after step 4, for the gen ed at risk, we're going to make an attempt to set up a parent meeting with the school counselor and the administrator. And it again is different for a student with a Section 504, and it is different yet again for a student with an IEP. And then there are some additional notes here just to give you extra guidance on this form. So again, this is our new communication pathway. This document will live in the Getting Started course in the attendance folder, as well as your principals will be pushing it out in their Polaris course. And at the midpoint of the 9 weeks, we will use this all year, and at the end of the 9 weeks. As the teacher, you can complete this form at any time. If you have a student today that you're very concerned about, you've already made those 3 attempts and you've gotten nowhere, please go ahead and fill out the form. Or if you've already had one, you can still fill out the form. We want a record of that. And this will be our record keeping for all of our students for this school year. Thank you so much for listening and have a great day.